Seja muito bem-vindo à nossa aula 4. Guys, welcome to our class number 4. And today we are going to talk about future roles. Yes. So far, during this week, we have already talked about present roles, past paths, but today our topic is future tense. So we are going to learn how to use the future in Portuguese, and also we are going to learn lots of vocabulary, expressions, and sentences that are useful to talk about travel, trips. So in my opinion, this is one of the best topics, right? I love traveling, and I bet you do too. Let me know here in the comment section if you also like traveling. And if you're planning to come to Brazil anytime soon. But just wait a little bit to tell me this because I want you to be able to write this in Portuguese, okay? So, we are going to start with a dialogue. We have two friends talking about some plans. One of them has, okay? So let's do the first step of our method. We are going to listen to this dialogue, trying to understand what we can from this audio, okay? Try to recognize some words and remember to listen as many times as you want, okay? The audio will also be available to you in our WhatsApp group. So don't forget to check in our exclusive group the MP3 file, or it's a different kind of file, but you will be able to hear it, ok? Vamos lá!
Você vai viajar na semana que vem? Não, eu vou viajar amanhã. Nossa, e você vai de carro? Não, eu vou de avião. É melhor. Verdade. Você vai pegar o avião no aeroporto Santos Dumont ou no Galeão? No Santos Dumont. Tô bem animada, porque eu não conheço São Paulo. É mesmo? Ah, eu acho que você vai adorar a cidade. Sempre tem muitas coisas legais para fazer em São Paulo. Tem teatro, exposições, museus, restaurantes. Pois é, eu vou conhecer o MASP e o Museu do Ipiranga. Eu vou comprar os ingressos hoje à noite. Ai, que bacana! E eu também vou jantar no Dom. É um dos melhores restaurantes do Brasil. Que chique! Aproveita muito! Uma boa viagem para você. Obrigada, Ana.
Muito bem! This is our first listening, but again, repeat it if you feel like you need. We recommend you guys listen to this audio at least 3 times before we review the dialogue, okay? So now I'm gonna share with you my screen and we are going to listen to the dialogue and read it at the same time. Vamos lá!
Você vai viajar na semana que vem? Não, eu vou viajar amanhã. Nossa, e você vai de carro? Não, eu vou de avião. É melhor. Verdade. Você vai pegar o avião no aeroporto Santos Dumont ou no Galeão? No Santos Dumont. Tô bem animada, porque eu não conheço São Paulo. É mesmo? Ah, eu acho que você vai adorar a cidade. Sempre tem muitas coisas legais para fazer em São Paulo. Tem teatro, exposições, museus, restaurantes. Pois é, eu vou conhecer o MASP e o Museu do Ipiranga. Eu vou comprar os ingressos hoje à noite. Ai, que bacana! E eu também vou jantar no Dom. É um dos melhores restaurantes do Brasil. Que chique! Aproveita muito! Uma boa viagem para você. Obrigada, Ana.
Muito bem, gente. So, how was it for you? Did the transcription match what you had listened? Some parts? Of course, guys, if these are the first moments you are dealing with Portuguese, learning the language, this will be really hard. It's okay, okay? Don't worry about it. If you have been studying the language for a while, or if you are used to listen to Brazilians talking near you, you probably are more able to recognize the sentences, the expressions, the vocabulary used, okay? So that's why it's so important to do those steps, because this way you get more familiar with the sounds we have in our language. So keep doing it, okay? Don't forget to do the next two steps by yourself, okay? The third one is this. You pause after each line, like this line here. After Anna stops, you pause and you just repeat the way she said it, okay? Then Carol answers and you pause, repeating her, and you go until the end of the dialogue. And the fourth step, you're going to read the dialogue together with the audio, like an overlay. And this way, you're going to be able to imitate the sounds, the pronunciation, the intonation we give in the language. So it comes more natural for you when you need to speak. Okay? Okay, guys, so let's just understand what they're talking about here, and then we are going to look in detail to some structures we find in this dialogue, okay? So Anna asks Carol, or as we say in Portuguese, Carol, você vai viajar na semana que vem? So here she wants to know, are you going to travel next week? Then Carol says, não, eu vou viajar amanhã. No, I'm going to travel tomorrow. Then Anna says, wow, man. Remember, nossa, we've talked about it. It's a way to show surprise. And she says, e você vai de carro? And are you going by car? Then Carol, in the next line, says, não, eu vou de avião. So, no, I'm going by plane, by airplane. And she says, é melhor, it's best, or it's better, okay, than going by car. Then Anna agrees. She says, verdade, true. And she asks, você vai pegar o avião no aeroporto Santos Dumont ou no Galeão? So, are you gonna take the plane in Santos Dumont Airport or in Galeão? These guys are the two airports you can find in Rio. Galeão, which is the international one, and Santos Dumont. Santos Dumont is inside the city, so it's easier for you to go to the neighborhoods in Rio de Janeiro, in general, of course. Galeão is more in the north side of Rio de Janeiro. It's far, a bit far from the center. So then Carol says, she answers, no Santos Dumont, in Santos Dumont Airport. Then she says, eu tô bem animada. I'm very excited. Porque eu não conheço São Paulo. Because I haven't visited São Paulo. That's it. So we are using here the verb conhecer. And this verb is not exactly a good translation for verb know at any times, because sometimes we are going to adapt this verb in English. So when we say that we are going to visit a city, that we haven't visited the city yet, it's common to use the verb conhecer, to visit for the first time. Okay? Then Anna says, é mesmo? Is that so? Or really? Because Carol just said that she doesn't know São Paulo. She hasn't visited São Paulo yet. So Anna is saying, really? Then she says, eu acho que você vai adorar a cidade. Oh, I think you're going to love the city. You're going to adore the city. Verb adorar, guys, is pretty much used in Portuguese with this sense of emphasizing that you like something a lot. I think it's more often used in Portuguese than it is in English. So when you want to emphasize you really like something, when you use, for example, love, you're gonna love the city. And probably in Portuguese you're going to say, você vai adorar a cidade. Okay, very common. Then Anna says, sempre tem muitas coisas legais para fazer em São Paulo. There's always many nice things to do in São Paulo. Tem teatro, exposições, museus, restaurantes. So, you have theaters, exhibitions, museums, restaurants, okay? Then Carol says, pois é. Pois é, guys, is an expression we use to show agreement to the other person. Like, right, exactly. So, pois é, exactly. And she says, eu vou conhecer o MASP e o Museu do Ipiranga. I'm going to visit MASP, which is maybe the most famous museum we have in São Paulo, and the Ipiranga Museum. This one, guys, was recently reopened to the public. It was in they were rebuilding it or recovering the museum, and it's pretty nice. Then she says, eu vou comprar os ingressos hoje à noite. I'm gonna buy the tickets tonight to go to these museums. Then Anna says, ai, que bacana, oh, how nice. And Carol says, yeah. And eu também vou jantar no Dom. And I'm also gonna have dinner at Dom. É um dos melhores restaurantes do Brasil. It's one of the best restaurants in Brazil. And this is true, guys. Dom is one of the best restaurants in Brazil. It's always in the top in every list we have about best restaurants, not only in Brazil but in the world. So if you like this kind of experience, you can try this restaurant, okay? Then Anna says, que chique, how fancy. Aproveita muito, enjoy a lot. Uma boa viagem para você. Have a nice trip. And Carol says, obrigada, Ana. Thank you, Ana. Got it? So, one of the things that we have here in this dialogue a lot is the use of a structure, actually a verb tense, the future. So let's understand how to put a sentence, how to put a verb in the future tense in Portuguese. And good news, it's simpler than the past. It's easier than the past, okay? Então vamos lá, let's go. So, we had this sentence in the dialogue. Você vai viajar? This means, are you going to travel or will you travel? In Portuguese, we don't have a big difference, like in English, between like things that you're going to do soon and things that you plan to do but not necessarily soon. We don't have this difference. So if you need to put a sentence in the future, no matter if it's something that you're going to do in the afternoon or on the weekend or next year, okay? You can just simply use this structure I'm about to tell you, okay? About. So, notice, this is the sentence. Você vai viajar. You will travel, okay? So, what do we have here? First, we need the subject of the sentence. Você, you, I, eu, nós, we. So, this depends on what you want to say. So, this is the subject. Then, we have the verb ir. Have you seen this verb before? Remember? We talked about it in the last class, but we talked about it in the past tense. But it's the same verb. Here we are talking about the verb ir, to go, okay? But we need to put this verb in the present tense, the tense you've studied in some classes before, okay? Some previous classes. So, after the subject, we use the verb ir in the present tense. And finally, we add the main verb, o verbo principal. The verb with the action I'm talking about, the thing that I'm going to do. Travel, sleep, go out, write, study, whatever, okay? And this main verb will be here in the infinitive form. Last class we talked about the infinitive form, remember? We said that all the verbs in the infinitive form end in R, remember? Viajar, comer, beber, dormir, sair, amar, cantar, right? So this is the form. It's the name of the verb, okay? Here is the structure. So let's understand how to use this structure in more detail. About the subject, guys. Here I put the list of the subject pronouns we have in Portuguese. So let's check all of them. Let's first pronounce all of them. And you can repeat after me. Eu, você, ela, ele, nós, vocês, elas, eles. Okay? So let's do this together. Let's find the correspondence of these subject pronouns. Eu is the same as in English I. Você, it's the same as you. Ela, she, ele, he. Okay? Nós, we, vocês, you. In Portuguese, for the plural, we need s. Okay? And elas and eles in English, it's only they. So these are the pronouns we can use there. But of course, we can also use the name of the person. For example, I can say, instead of she, for example, I could say, let me put here, Ludmila vai, Ludmila will, and then I finish the class. So I can also use the name, for example, some kind of adjective to characterize the person, like my mom, minha mãe, meu amigo, my friend. Okay? So this is simple because you're going to know the reference you have for the person, but here I wanted to give you the subject pronouns, okay? So you can use them. What about the second part, the verb ir in the present? I need to know the conjugation for this verb in the present. That's one thing that I need to retain, to memorize, to be able to make the sentence in the future. So here we go. We have here the conjugation for the verb ir in the present. So let's read this together. Repeat after me. Eu vou, você vai, ela vai, nós vamos, vocês vão, elas vão. Okay? So you need this to make the agreement. So let's say in your sentence you want to say, I will travel. So eu, then the verb must be in this form, eu vou. But let's say you want to say, nós vamos, we will do something. So then you use this form of the verb, making the agreement with nós, and etc. Okay? So whenever you decide the subject, then you put the verb according to this subject, okay? Notice one thing, it seems to be like 6, but actually we have only 4 forms, 4 different forms, because here, like we saw yesterday, we have one single form for second and third person singular, and here again, one single form for second and third person plural, okay? So in the end, 4 different forms, okay? At least 2 less things to memorize. And the verb, the main verb, the final verb, as I said, it must be in the infinitive form. So just remember to put it with the R, which is the name of the verb. If you know the verb, you know its infinitive form. So some examples here. Viajar, travel, pegar. This one was in the dialogue too. In the dialogue, it was used with the sense of take, the plane. You see? Adorar, to adore, to love. Jantar, have dinner. Conhecer, to know, to meet, to visit. It depends on the context. In the dialogue, it was with the meaning of visit, something for the first time, someplace. Comprar, to buy. Okay? So in this list, only this one belongs to the second group of conjugation. Remember we talked about it last class? And I said that the first group of conjugation is the biggest one. And we can see that here. Okay? Got it, guys? If you do have any questions, remember to use the comment section here below this video and ask your questions. Okay? We'll be glad to help you. Okay, so what about an exercise together? Let's do it. This is good for us to really practice what we've just learned, and so you can see how easy it is to put a sentence in the future. So we are going to fill the blankets with the correct form of verb ir, the verb go. Remember, it must change according to each subject, so that's what we are going to do. I ask you to pause the video now and try yourself to do this, to just complete, to fill these lines here with the correct form of the verb ir, to have a sentence in the future, and then you play it again, so we are going to correct it together, okay? Done? So now let's do it together. How do we make the agreement here between nós and the verb ir in the present tense? Nós vamos. What about this one here? Between você and verb ir? Quando você vai viajar. And now, elas vão comprar os ingressos hoje. What about the next one? Between eu and ir? Eu vou pegar o voo às 10 horas. The next one. Agreement between ele and ir. Ele vai adorar o Rio. And finally, between vocês and ir. Vocês vão conhecer o Parque Ibirapuera. So guys, I hope you have all your answers correct. But if you did any mistakes, don't worry. And if you can't understand anything, just ask, okay? And I have a second task for you, our practical activity. Remember, every day we have a practical activity. So today you must create your first sentences in the future tense. Let me explain what you're going to do. You must create at least, but you can do more, 2 sentences in the future, okay? In Portuguese, of course. And I want you to write them in the comment section, or you can just post them in your Instagram story and tag Yes Portuguese so we can correct it for you. You can create these sentences about anything you want. I'm not specifying the topic. You can use this topic. We are talking today about traveling, maybe telling us your plans to travel to Brazil, to visit a specific place, a museum, or you can use some of the verbs you have already learned during this week, okay? It's okay, you can use a different topic, okay? Got it? So go ahead. Remember to do it so we can correct it for you. And now, let's just see the sentences, the vocabulary that we have in this dialogue. We have all of them here, and I put some extra expressions for you. And I think they can be really helpful. You're going to see them. So let's start with the ones from the dialogue. So, time expressions, expressões de tempo. Na semana que vem, next week. You can also have another expression, na próxima semana. This one is very common too. It's the same meaning, okay? Amanhã, tomorrow. Hoje à noite, tonight. Sempre, always. Muito bem. What about transports? Some vehicles we can use to just go from one side to the other. Carro, car. Avião, airplane. Trem, train. Or in Minas Gerais, trem can mean anything. It's just like the word thing, okay? Metrô, subway. Ônibus, bus. Bicicleta, bicycle. Moto, motorcycle, okay? And places, lugares, places we go in a city. Vamos lá. Teatro, theater. Exposição, an exhibition. Museu, museum. Restaurante, restaurant. Aeroporto, airport, okay? And some other expressions we had in our dialogue. Outras expressões. Vamos lá. Não, no. Melhor, better or best. Verdade, true or truth. Bem animada, very excited. If you're a guy, you should make the agreement and put it in the masculine form. Bem animado. Por quê? Because. É mesmo? Really? Muitas coisas legais. Many nice things. Que bacana. How nice. Ingresso, ticket. Que chique. How fancy. Aproveita. Enjoy. Uma boa viagem para você. Have a nice trip. Obrigada. Thank you. And if you're a guy, you must make the agreement and say obrigado. Okay? So, remember I said that I added some sentences, important sentences you may use. Here, I'm giving you sentences that may be needed in an airport. So, super important. So, check them out. This one here. Imagine you want to say, my luggage has not arrived. Minha bagagem não chegou. Or, if you want to say, my suitcase was damaged in transit. Minha mala foi danificada na viagem. Or, what is the excess baggage charge? Qual é a taxa de excesso de bagagem? Or even, could you please put a fragile sticker on this bag? You can say, você poderia colocar um adesivo de frágil nessa mala, por favor? What if you need to say, what is the gate number for this flight? Qual é o número do portão de embarque desse voo? And also, what if you need to say, do you know where the luggage is from flight number X? Let's say your flight number. Then you can say, você sabe onde está a bagagem do voo número X? Okay? Then you need to add the number. What about vocabulary? Also very important vocabulary. I know that in general in the airports we have all the words in English and in Portuguese. You're going to find them. But if you need to say it and you forget and you don't have anything written in front of you, this can be useful. So let's see it. Voos de chegada, the arrivals. Voos de partida, departures. Cartão de embarque, boarding pass. Portão de embarque, gate. Passaporte, passport. Visto, visa. Mala, suitcase. Passagem, ticket. Bagagem de mão, carry-on luggage. Okay? Well, guys, I hope this can be really helpful to you. We are finishing our class now. Thank you so much for being here with me during this class for almost 30 minutes, half an hour. I hope you guys have enjoyed and you think this is useful to you. I really hope it is. if you plan to speak Portuguese, and stay tuned because we have a very important class tomorrow. Don't miss it because it will be amazing, okay? And stay tuned for more information inside our exclusive group on WhatsApp, okay? Guys, thank you so much and I hope to see you soon. Tchau, tchau!